Hey there, guys. So today is Labor Day and Amazon is having their Labor Day sale. So I'm going to be looking through some of the sales that they've had. We saw earlier this week that in their early Labor Day sales, they actually had some pretty great deals, at least specifically on one Firebat mini PC. But we're going to see today if there's any deals in general that are good. In terms of mini PCs, there aren't exactly all that many great deals, though there are a few new ones since the last major deal. There hasn't been any exactly super standout one. Still, systems like the Ace Magic Tank 03 here at least are bringing down prices for mini PCs. It is at least a system with a dedicated graphics that is actually under $1,000. You very rarely see those, but at this price point, this really isn't all that great of a deal at all. Wow, I'm so shocked they haven't sold out of the MSI Claw all week. This is shocking news. But really, in terms of mini PCs, they just do not have much. Let's actually look through some of the deals that they have around here, because they might not have mini PCs on sale. If you already have a mini PC, let's see if we can find some accessories that are actually on sale. For one, I want to see what kind of deals we got in terms of storage right now. One thing for sure, you just cannot have enough SSDs. It always seems to be the case. Well, in terms of SSD option, there really does not seem to be much here. The $200 for a T5 Evo 200, not that bad. Even 8 terabyte? Oh my god. What a price though. $550 for terabytes. You can get an open box $525. That's crazy. I mean, it's cool that an 8 terabyte version exists, I guess. 200 for the 4 terabyte isn't awful, just for size reason. Okay, now this is interesting. Kioxia SATA SSD, $35 and it's 1 terabyte. Okay, this is interesting because Kioxia is a well-known brand. They're just not a consumer brand. They pretty much have almost exclusively worked with OEM. So it's interesting that they have a consumer drive like this and it's on such a low price. I might actually just buy one of these. Okay, yeah, this is actually a pretty good one. Like if this, I mean, it's probably QLC. If we're being real, this is probably QLC. But even if it's QLC, I feel like at $35, this is not bad. Seems like they do have NVMEs. Ooh, the NVMEs do not appear to be on discount, although this is a third-party seller. Okay, now wait a minute. This is by a third-party seller. Let's look at their history. Ah, non-existent. Okay, this has to be a scam. Like this seller, the only thing they're selling is this from Amazon. Yeah, interesting, because all the other options, they like ship from the actual sellers themselves. Far more likely to be an actual scam. The fact that this actually from Amazon is interesting. I'm gonna buy one of these. I'm curious what's even gonna show up, but I'm gonna hesitate on recommending that you buy it just because this is sus. The ship from Amazon, this at least makes it really easy to return if there's any kind of issues. This is concerning. I don't recommend you jump on this unless you're willing to gamble with your money like that. It just seems crazy to me that it would get promoted here if it is a scam. If that actually ends up being a scam, that's actually hilarious. And Amazon has essentially devolved into AliExpress. Honestly, in terms of SSDs, there's not really any standout deals. I mean, NVMe prices are just ridiculous right now. Like, this isn't too bad. If I needed 4 terabyte NVMe right now, this is what I would be picking up. But I mean, my God. I just remember around this time last year, this was pretty much almost half the price. Yeah, so it kind of just seems like SSDs are a bust there. They do have some solid deals in terms of getting USB drives though, just because of the fact that if you're someone that installs Linux and stuff like that on a lot of systems, a very niche thing, I understand, but it is nice to have a bunch of these laying around. All right, let's see what we could even find in terms of components, because specifically the storage might have been an issue there, but maybe we could find some other neat things here. Okay, now this seems pretty interesting to me. The Sparkle Intel Arc A770 Titan OC Edition, specifically $270. This is a pretty crazy deal for a graphics card that has 16 gigabytes of VRAM. I might actually end up buying one of these. Oh wow, you could even get it open box for even cheaper. Okay, yeah, this is kind of a killer deal. Now again, you're signing up for those Intel driver issues, so it's not like perfect, but we're so far from its original launch. Things have improved so dramatically. I think I'm probably gonna pick one of these up actually. They definitely have a good assortment of random accessories here. This is actually pretty rock solid. A 64 gigabyte kit of DDR4 3200 megahertz for less than $100. That's actually really nice. Really nice. Like if you have an older AM4 system, you drop this in, you're great. You're set. I had 64 gigabytes on my 3900X system that I used for pretty much a solid 2/3 of all the videos that I've ever made. And I had 64 gigabytes on that, and that made the experience of editing so much better. I have 32 on my current system just because I went from AM4 to an LGA 1700 system, but the downgrade from 64 to 32 for specifically the stuff that I do was kind of noticeable, and I wish that DDR5 prices were at this point because it would make my life so much easier. I do sometimes feel like it would have just been better to have gotten a 5950X and kind of just ride out AM4 for another generation, but those Micro Center deals just seemed too good. But if you're trying to extend the life of an AM4 system, this is actually pretty rock solid. One of the standout deals that they're promoting a lot is this specific Acer Nitro 5, and I do think that it's actually a pretty rock solid deal. I mean, we're looking at an i5 13420H, which isn't a powerhouse. Talking about a 4 performance core, 4 efficiency core setup, so 4 core, 12 thread, max turbo of 4.6 gigahertz. It's nothing remarkable for its price point. It's really nice and competitive. We're looking at the RTX 4050 here, but I mean the RTX 4050 in there, I'm pretty sure that has a TDP set of like 75, which should be similar to the HP Victus that we took a look at from Walmart. I do think that overall the HP Victus is still a better system, very similar spec in terms of the GPU, very similar IPS 144 hertz display. Not sure exactly how they would compare directly to each other, but I would not be surprised if they're sourcing from very similar quality. Same 8 gigabytes of RAM that you can upgrade yourself. The only difference really comes down to the CPU, and I would personally just go with the Ryzen chip over the Intel. It's really just such a low core count for both of the efficiency cores and the performance cores in comparison to just having the full 6 full-size cores from AMD. For whatever reason you want to go with this specific system, it's not a bad option at all at $650. I would certainly squeeze the extra $50 to go with that instead of this MSI system that I think is a perfect example of a very terrible deal. We're looking at a very similar i5. It's essentially the exact same core configuration and everything, just slightly clocked lower. Here we have a RTX 2050. It does have 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, but the same 512 gigabyte SSD. And I think that for the extra $50, going from a 2050 to a 4050 is worth it, even if it comes with 8 gigabyte downgrade on the DDR5 memory. You can buy a kit later on, but you cannot upgrade the GPU on your laptop. Spend the $50. Can we just talk about the absolute state of laptops for a minute though? I mean, for the general consumer, this must be just a disaster to look at. It's no wonder that Apple sells so well, because when you're just a normal person that is just looking for a laptop and you see for $1,165 this gaudy monstrosity next to this this just sleek, beautiful system. It's just whiplash. It's whiplash. And like, listen, I mean, I get it. Where we could talk about specs all day. We can talk about, why one is a better option than the other. I get it. But when you're talking about just a normal person that is not a nerd, that is not really into this stuff, this has to be really, really jarring. Especially because when you look at all of the other ones, they follow that trend. And then when they don't, they're really cheap. Like so cheap to the point where you buy this, you're getting compromises. I mean, like, this is Ace Magic N95 on a laptop. Like, listen, the N95 is not off. It's just not. It's not an awful chip, but $380, you're not going to be getting a whole lot of laptop there. There's just a lot of compromises that are going to be made. There's going to be compromises in terms of screen quality, in terms of components used, in terms of the quality of the chassis and everything. And when that's mostly what people are seeing here, it's absolutely no wonder that Apple is just dominating when it comes to individual unit sales. See, anytime you look at Amazon's best-selling laptops, they'll always have the MacBook Air up there. That doesn't mean that Apple is the largest laptop manufacturer in the world. Far from it. They just have a few lines that sell really, really well in comparison to everybody else. But I mean, this company Jumper, like, who is Jumper? I've never heard of Jumper, but they have literally so many computers here. Same with Ace Magic, same with Apollo Sign? What does that even mean? Like, it seems like the companies that have made mini PCs are essentially applying the same idea to laptops. You just make these really, really generic laptops that people can slap their names on, use very, very off-the-shelf parts that you can get really cheap, and you kind of just churn these things out. Yeah, look, Ace Magic has exact same thing. I mean, they're over here advertising that this thing has a metal chassis. This one might actually not be all that bad, honestly, but it's still one of those things where the N95 is just not great. As a Linux machine, though, this might actually be pretty nice. I mean, keep in mind the price of a mini PC that has these specs, add on the cost of like the screen and like the body and all of that stuff, cooling system. You can kind of see where you arrive at this price. So it's not awful. But I mean, there's just so many. Like, okay, look, they label this one as a gaming laptop. Let's see what specs they consider to be a gaming laptop. 5700U. Like, look, I've covered the 5700U so many times. There are a lot of games that you can play on there for sure. If we're going by a very literal definition, it is a gaming laptop. But by that definition, a Chromebook is a gaming laptop because you can open up a browser game. Like, it is so deliberately disingenuous to call this a gaming laptop. Okay, this one actually doesn't seem too bad. See, it has the 1080p, but it's not actually 1080p. It's 1200p because it's a 16:10 display. So already huge dub. IPS, pretty nice. Brightness is probably not going to be great. That's to be expected. The N100, not amazing, but it is at least 16 gigabytes of DDR5 as well, so it's not DDR4. 512 gigabyte SSD, not great. The battery's pretty tiny, which is kind of a problem. But with a $50 coupon bringing it under $300, it's not terrible. Like, this one actually does not seem that bad. I mean, I don't know the quality of the chassis, though. I just wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust something like this if it's going to be something that you're going to be using every day, carrying it around with you. I mean, at least from Amazon, you could return things easily. But if you're past the return window, I don't think Jumper is providing good customer support. I just get the feeling that a company named Jumper is not not going to provide that. My God, they have so many variations of pretty much any chip you could find on the market. Like if it is a low tier dumpster bin CPU, they have it. They have a palette of that they pretty much just slapped into these laptops. That's actually crazy. Yeah, like look at this one. This one's $200, right? $200 with a $25 coupon. That's kind of a crazy price, right? But let's look at the hardware here. 4 gigabytes of RAM, insane. Running Windows, actually insane. 4 gigabytes of RAM, ridiculous. 128 gigabyte SSD actually surprised me. I was totally expecting to see eMMC. The fact that it's actually a 128 gigabyte SSD is shocking. Then this CPU that it has, I've never heard of this thing before. So I looked it up. It's a dual core. A 14 nanometer dual core. No hyper-threading at all. That's crazy. You're running Windows 11 with 4 gigabytes of RAM on a dual core. They expect you to use Office on that. Like, I could understand if we were talking about Windows XP or even Windows 7. But this thing probably comes with Windows 10. And those pictures are of Windows 11. Now, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just assume that they did not put any forethought into any of this. And this is just a stock image that they slap onto literally all their laptops. I'm not going to say this as like a guarantee that this is Windows 11. Is there any mention of what version of Windows it has? Oh my God, no, it says it's Windows 11. Oh my God. Imagine Copilot trying to run on just 2 cores. Like all of the spyware and telemetry that Microsoft puts into their computers, just absolutely breaking a sweat, just trying to run on this dual core. Oh my God, wait, what is this one? I just realized this is a different number. Yeah, this is another dual core. I mean, why does this one exist? The just minuscule megahertz differences here. Like Intel for the longest time perfected the whole product segmentation business. They'll dedicate a whole SKU for about 100 megahertz. And it really just seems like AMD has aspired to live up to that, and they are trying so hard, and they're getting there. They're definitely getting there. But I mean, my God, same situation here where it's just like they're selling these extremely cheap laptops with configurations that just make absolutely no sense. And unfortunately, this is just what a lot of this is. This is another one marked as a gaming laptop, 5700U. AOC gaming laptop, which remember, we saw the AOC mini PC before, and that was just made by Ace Magic. I'm guessing this is just another Ace Magic laptop that has the AOC logo slapped on it. And again, they're marketing this as a gaming laptop. A 5700U is not a gaming laptop. That means somebody's office Lenovo is a gaming laptop. Even in terms of deals for laptops, it's not looking great. They have the one standout deal that is this. Everything else kind of just a disaster. I guess we should have known it was going to be a pretty cooked sale when the featured deals are a vacuum cleaner and some protein powder and some self-promo. It's a shame, really, looking at all of the deals that they have in terms of mini PCs. There's not really many standouts at all. One of those things where it's not exactly an awful time to buy a mini PC. Not like the prices themselves are terrible. It's just you're looking at usually price differences that are between 0 to at most about $20. So there's no actual real meaningful saving. And it seems like everything else that they have is kind of just garbage. So I'll link down below all of the deals that I found to be at least decent. This was definitely one where if you were holding out for any kind of killer deals, there really just aren't any. Seems like the only tech category that actually has any decent sales going on is just monitors. I mean, am I the only one that thinks it's insane you can buy buy a 24-inch 100 hertz 1440p IPS display for less than $100, and it has a 10% off brand promo key. That's crazy to me, because this is just the perfect second monitor. You just get this thing, you hook it up as your secondary monitor, and it's gonna look great. It was cheap, it's a good resolution. That's actually crazy. I did not realize the monitors had gotten so cheap. Still, this seems to be about the only category that has any decent sales. And with that said, if you're someone that's been waiting for this moment to buy this monitor, please click the affiliate link down below. I would greatly appreciate that. But anyways, this sale seems to be kind of a bust. Not really that many great deals, so I'll link the good ones down below. I'll see you guys.